Hi friends, thank you for taking time out of your week to spend a little with me. I appreciate you. This week I wanted to cover the disappearance of Mary Shotwell Little, which was suggested by YouTube user Lilibet7432, so thank you in advance. I ask you all to join me as we remember Mary Shotwell Little. Mary Wallace Shotwell was born on January 14, 1940 in Guilford, North Carolina, to parents Nathan and Margaret Shotwell. Mary was raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, in a middle-class family. She was described as being outgoing, fun, loving, and a great student. Mary graduated from Myers Park High School in 1958 and went on to study secretarial science at the University of North Carolina. After earning her degree, Mary had aspirations of moving to New York, but her mother feared it would be too dangerous. So, as a compromise, Mary picked Atlanta, Georgia, as her future home. Mary made the big move with a few of her college friends. She found an apartment in a triplex near Emory University. Mary also found a job at Citizens and Southern Bank as a secretary. Citizens and Southern Bank was responsible for the financing of much of Atlanta's construction boom at the time. Mary was reliable and hardworking. In 1964, she met 24-year-old Roy Little. Roy was the son of Roy Hardin Little Sr. of Jacksonville, Florida. He was a graduate of the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina, and became associated with the John Hancock Mutual Life Insurance Company. Roy was also a lieutenant in the U.S. Army Reserves. At the time, Roy was working as a bank examiner for the state of Georgia. The couple met while attending a Georgia Tech and Alabama football game and instantly clicked. They dated for 10 months before Roy asked Mary to be his wife on July 22, 1965. The couple married on September 4, 1965 at the Myers Park Presbyterian Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. After a honeymoon to the mountains, the couple moved to an apartment located at 1400 Line Circle Apartment 2 in Decatur, Georgia. The couple would be married for 6 weeks before the unthinkable would happen. On October 14th, Roy went out of town to LaGrange, Georgia. He was training to be an auditor with the state banking department and would not return until the following day. Mary continued about her day as usual. After completing her shift at C&S Bank, she made plans to meet up with her coworker Isla for dinner. Before meeting Isla, Mary stopped at the Colonial Grocery Store in Lenox Square Shopping Center. She needed supplies for a dinner party she'd planned to host the following evening, once Roy returned home. Mary purchased 4 bags of groceries and some bottles of Coca-Cola. With her shopping complete, she grabbed dinner with Isla at the Piccadilly Cafeteria, located in the same shopping plaza. Mary was in good spirits at the time, and the two spoke highly of their married lives. The women followed up dinner with a little bit of shopping at Rich's department store before parting ways around 8 p.m. The following morning, Mary, the always punctual secretary, did not show up for work. And she did not call in sick. Her coworkers contacted her apartments, who confirmed that Mary's 1965 metallic pearl Mercury Comet was not home. Isla remarked how her and Mary went to dinner the prior evening, and stated she remembered that she was parked in the yellow 32 section of the Lenox shopping center, so her boss contacted the security there. The security guard confirmed that during his 6 a.m. rounds, there was no car parked in that section matching the description of Mary's. When the car was not located, Mary's boss decided to go to the parking lot on his own. Shortly after noon, her supervisor arrived at the Lenox Square Center, where Mary's car was in plain sight, at the yellow 32 section where it was supposed to be. Police were called to the scene where, upon first glance, they noticed a coating of red dust on the car's exterior, as if it had been driven on a dirt road. In the back seat sat the 4 bags of groceries and the bottles of Coke Mary purchased before meeting her friend. In the front were a pack of Kent cigarettes, Mary's preferred brand. On the console between the front bucket seats were several women's clothing items, including a slip, a pair of underwear, and a girdle. The items were folded neatly. They discovered on the floorboard a bra and a single stocking. The stocking had been cut. The underwear appeared to have been worn recently, and blood was found spattered on the undergarments. Mary's clothing, purse, coat, jewelry, and car keys were missing. Blood was also found smeared on the steering wheel, the driver's side door near the handle, the inside window of the passenger side, and on the front seats. Grass clippings were stuck in dried blood where the passenger's head would have rested. The amount of blood was not significant, however. The investigator described it as being as much blood as one would get from a nosebleed. Samples were collected and sent to the lab for testing, where it was determined to be the same type as Mary's. No fingerprints were recovered from the car. It appeared to be wiped clean. The license plate on Mary's car was a Charlotte, North Carolina plate that was reported stolen in mid-October. This was odd since Mary's car was legally registered in the state of Georgia and was previously fitted with the proper tags. Using Roy's mileage logs and the odometer, it was estimated the car was driven 41 miles that couldn't be accounted for. Investigators felt this clue might be the reason why Mary's vehicle had not been located by Lennox security that morning. A missing persons alert for Mary Little was issued. It described her as being 5'6" and weighing around 120 pounds, with light brown hair and green hazel eyes. Mary was last seen wearing a long-sleeved olive green dacron sheath dress printed with small white flowers, a white London fog raincoat with flats. She also had on her platinum wedding ring, a solitaire engagement ring, a yellow gold Women's College of the University of North Carolina class ring, and a scarab bracelet. She was carrying a brown burlap and leather John Romaine purse. As the investigation stalled, police turned their attention to Roy. Roy Little rubbed detectives the wrong way. Reportedly, Roy didn't seem to be concerned about Mary's disappearance. He was cold, aloof, and refused to cooperate with the investigation. They had to drag everything out of him. He didn't volunteer anything. When Roy was shown his wife's car, he allegedly shrugged it off. Their skepticism was heightened around Roy when he insisted on getting the car back as soon as possible. When Mary's friends were interviewed, they also explained a distaste for Roy. They found him to be surly and even claimed they fought with Mary over her engagement. Many of her friends did not go to the wedding because of Roy, but Roy had no discernible motive and nothing to gain from her death. Those close to the couple didn't see signs of trouble within their marriage, and plus, Roy had an airtight alibi. Because of these factors, he was never charged in connection with her case. Mary's friends also mentioned that weeks prior to her disappearance, she was receiving unsettling phone calls at work. She gave indications to the caller that she was married now and she could no longer visit with the unknown person, but they were more than welcome to visit her. The caller's identity remains a mystery. During this time period, a secret admirer was also sending flowers to Mary. The flowers were traced to a florist near Mary's apartment, but the purchaser's identity could not be verified. Mary never explained to her friends who this person might be. She did, however, tell them that she was fearful of being home alone and driving her car unaccompanied, but didn't provide a reason why. A few days before October 14th, Mary insinuated she had something important to tell her coworkers, but never revealed what it was. Shortly before Thanksgiving, a new lead developed. Mary's signature was discovered on 2 gas station receipts dated for October 15th. The first receipt showed Mary purchased a full tank of gas at an Esso station in Charlotte, North Carolina, shortly after midnight. And then the second showed more gas purchased from an Esso station in Raleigh later in the afternoon. Police spoke to the gas station attendant in Charlotte. The attendant did confirm he helped a woman who was accompanied by 2 unshaven, middle-aged men who seemed to be commanding her. The woman was laying on the passenger seat with a map over her face as if she were concealing her identity. He noticed she had a minor head injury. She did not ask for help from the attendant. The man driving the car provided the charge card, but gave the receipt to the woman, who signed them as Mrs. Roy H. Little, Jr. The samples from the receipts and known examples of Mary's handwriting were compared, and the two appeared to be a match. Investigators felt the span between credit card usage seemed strange, considering the short traveling distance between the 2 cities. Shortly after the news of the credit card receipts being discovered was public, a $20,000 ransom demand was made for Mary. An anonymous caller told Roy if he ever wanted to see his wife again, he would go to an overpass in the Pisgah National Forest in western North Carolina. Here, he would find further instructions posted on the sign. Roy reported the call to the FBI, who sent an agent in his place. When the agent made it to the sign, he discovered a blank piece of paper stuck to the sign. The caller didn't contact the Little family again and has never been identified. Then, in mid-November, a boy in DeKalb County, Georgia, discovered another clue. Scribbled on the bottom half of a deposit pouch, which was addressed to a branch of C&S Bank, was a note that read, "Help, Mary Little, being held captive." This sample was also compared to the receipts and known samples, and the results showed that it was highly likely the note was also written by Mary. Authorities followed every tip, lead, and possible sighting, but only hit dead ends. Over the months, the leads dried up, and by the anniversary of her disappearance, police admitted they were no closer to an answer. Despite exhaustive search efforts, Mary has not been seen since. No physical evidence from the case remains, and the only remaining record of the investigation is the FBI's, which is incomplete. So what happened to Mary Little? There are several theories given, mostly by those who work the case. The leading theory is that Mary was abducted by a stranger. The lead Atlanta detective felt Mary was the target of a random act of violence or a crime of opportunity. Another woman reported being accosted by a man in the Lenox Square shopping center shortly before Mary would have been walking to her car. However, police have never been able to confirm the identity of this man, while others felt Mary might have left on her own. Many officers who investigated the scene didn't think foul play was involved. In fact, they felt that the scene was staged and that Mary probably chose to disappear for other unknown reasons. There was also a speculation that Mary's disappearance might have been connected to a sex scandal at the C&S Bank around the time she vanished. The bank hired a former FBI agent to investigate claims of harassment and possible prostitution on the property. Apparently, Mary knew about the scandal, but many claimed it had nothing to do with her disappearance. The last, less likely theory is organized crime was involved. This theory is held as least likely in the public opinion, but it's speculated that Mary could have witnessed something or had gotten inadvertently caught up in illegal activities, maybe through her place of employment. 2 years after Mary went missing, another young woman was abducted. Diane Shields and Mary Little had many things in common, including both being young and beautiful. Mary had recently been married, while Diane was recently engaged. But more eerily of all similarities was that Diane started working at the C&S Bank in the same position after Mary had disappeared. On the night of May 19, 1967, Diane left work as usual and was last seen driving away in her 1963 blue and white Chevrolet Impala. When she failed to return home, her family grew concerned. Just hours later, her car was found around 2:30 a.m. near a laundromat in Atlanta. Diane's body was in the trunk. She was fully clothed, had not been assaulted, and still wore all of her jewelry. Her cause of death was determined to be suffocation. Her body was posed with her hands clasped together as if she were in prayer. A page from the phone book was found down her throat. The lack of robbery or assault suggested Diane's murder was premeditated and personal rather than random. Police speculated that the cases of Mary and Diane's were connected in some way due to the similarities between the women. Allegedly, one of Diane's friends claimed Diane was invested in the disappearance of a woman named Mary and thought that it could have led to her death, but this has never been proven. The theory that the two cases were connected was discarded after some time due to a lack of evidence. Diane's case remains unsolved. The last known lead in Mary Little's case came in 1966, when an inmate at the Georgia State Prison requested an interview with the FBI in regards to Mary. The inmate, Larry Stargell, wrote to police on September 6, 1966, suggesting he knew who murdered Mary. Larry was serving a life sentence for murder, but claimed that Mary Little was kidnapped by two men who were hired for $5,000. He didn't know why they were hired or what the motive was. Larry claimed in 1965 he was working at a theater in Gainesville, Florida, when he met Gerald Mason. The two became friends and, along with another male, started committing burglaries in the College Park area. One night after drinking, Larry stated Gerald took him to the Atlanta airport, where he made him look through a telescope. The telescope was pointed out near a construction site behind the airport, and Gerald, in a flat tone, stated, "That's where Mary's buried." Larry didn't believe him at first, but then Gerald produced a C&S charge card with Mary's name on it. Larry accompanied the men several times to the airport to retrieve a brown envelope. He was told money was inside. The money was coming from someone the men were blackmailing in Atlanta for paying them to kidnap Mary. The man Larry accused of murdering Mary was convicted in 2003 for the murder of 2 police officers in 1957. He died in a South Carolina prison in 2017 while serving 2 concurrent life sentences. The lead was vetted by investigators, but nothing Larry claimed could be proven. Larry was also not credible, so the search stopped here. Much like the case of Diane Shields, Mary Little's case also remains unsolved. Her parents never stopped searching. Sadly, her father died in 1979, while her mother died in 2011. The Atlanta Police Department still considers her case active and open, and invites anyone with any information to contact their cold case department. The information for this will be in the description of this video. Hi friends, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, so leave them below and we can chat about this case. If you found this to be informative, consider giving the video a thumbs up to let YouTube know you want more from me. And lastly, if you're not subscribed yet, you should, because we would love to have you under the ash tree. Thank you again for tuning in. You don't have to, but you do, and that means a lot to me. I hope you all have an amazing week ahead of you, because you deserve it. But for now, we must part ways. So stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends.